the skies. I say,
Welcome back, viewers, to Women Voters Matter, Part 1, right here in the Tobago Update Studio in beautiful Scarborough, Tobago. We're here with the lovely Aretha Clarke, and she's representing the the constituency of Tobago East.
Tobago West.
Tobago West. I'm moving here.
Yes, please. You relocated?
Yes, and she is here with the Patriotic Front. And we are addressing today issues that are pertinent and critical to women and how we go forward into 2030. Aretha, we want to thank you for being here with us this morning. My name is Jewel Green, and I'm here co-moderating with Miss Terry Ince. Terry, we're giving you room right now to address Miss Aretha Clarke, and feel free to ask her anything that the public would want to know about women's rights.
Great, thank you. Good morning again, and welcome, Aretha. Is this your first time in politics?
Yes. Well, electorally, as a candidate.
Electorally, okay, great. That's a good answer. All right, so tell us something about yourself. I mean, as a candidate, congratulations on being nominated for your to represent your party in Tobago East. But tell us
Tobago West.
Tobago West.
Tobago West. Now I moved you. I moved you now. Tobago West. So tell us about yourself as a candidate and as a voter. This is your first foray into politics. We would want to know who we are voting for. Why would we choose you over someone else to represent us in Tobago West? Tell us something about yourself.
Well, firstly, I'm a single mother of one. I'm a social worker. I am a contracted employee within the THA. Aretha Clarke loves to travel, loves to learn new culture. Whenever I travel, I look at issues that affect Tobago, Trinidad by extension, and I compare it to wherever I travel. So I always have the mindset of learning new things and observing. Aretha Clarke, if you know her, you will love her. I'm genuine. I just like being me. Going up as a candidate, I have been exposed to political parties. And what I see is not the end result that you want to get, which we all know. So for me, putting myself out there is that, not that I want to be the big change, but I want to show other women, hear what, despite of whatever you have been through, you can make it, you can do it. So that is why Aretha Clarke is here with the Patriotic Front.
Thank you, Aretha, for introducing yourself. And if I may, with a follow-up question, before tossing it back to my co-moderator, now that we know who you are, you've been looking at the landscape of politics in Tobago West, and by extension, Trinidad. What one thing you see that's working that you would want to build upon once you are elected into a government?
The protection and the rights of women and children. Yes, there we have legislation, Domestic Violence Act, but when women face the courts, we are not protected. When young girls are in schools, they are not protected. So I want to see more emphasis on the protection of young women and young girls in particular. Gender-wise, men as well, because men face issues as well. And we need to support them. We need to support, because a man, a woman, and a young girl or a child, they're all part of a family. A family is part of a system, which is called the community. And the community is part of the country. So we have to build each of them, protect their rights, and then we take it from there.
I have to say, Aretha, that in the climate that we're in, which we're seeing a very high crime rate, and by extension, not just a high crime rate, but a lot of the crime is being directed towards women because it's based in relationships. A lot of the crime is happening on a relationship level. How would you address, or what policy changes do you think need to be in place, since we're talking about the protection of women, in terms of what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago? And this, we saw a rise in the GBV, which is the gender-based violence, during COVID, and it has continued, right? We have not stemmed the flow yet. What would you say is one policy or one approach to get us back to, if we could, pre-COVID. Well, we want to eliminate it altogether, but pre-COVID numbers, and then to keep it being reduced until we're down to zero in terms of gender-based violence and femicide.
Well, openly, I would say I'm a victim of domestic violence. And one of the challenges I would have faced, and many other women are facing, reporting. When we go to report at any police station, yes, we have the gender-based violence unit, we have this, we have that. But if those officers are not at the station at the time, the report is not taken seriously. Secondly, the misinterpretation and misunderstanding of psychological and financial abuse. Most victims of domestic violence who would have been murdered, you never heard there was physical violence before. And if the judicial system could grasp that and understand that domestic violence will never start off physically, it starts with a mind game. And it is important, if we have to change policies, I would honestly say and openly say, we have to start with the judicial system. I would have had a restraining order application pending for 18 months. And while it was pending, I had to go to the police station for a period of that 18 months for protection. And I didn't get protection. I was assaulted. Things happened at the police station, around the police station. And I'm saying other women now are afraid to go forward. So not just having the police station, but we need to have we say we have domestic violence hotlines. Let us work on hiring. We need more social workers. So bring more social workers on board dealing with domestic violence issues. Educating members of the public is important because people don't understand withholding monies from your wives or even your husband because you're in a higher position is a form of domestic violence.
Yes, indeed.
Insulting your partner in front of friends, families is a form of domestic violence. In my case, I will tell you, at one point, my partner would have taken me to court 40 times in 1 year. When they couldn't get through, they took me to high court. And there were times that members of the airports assumed I was an attorney because I was in Trinidad more than working here in Tobago. So it is very difficult to balance how we start, but I would say start with the judicial system and educate them as to when matters come before you because you of the opinion that this is not something important, because I've had magistrates told me, I've been about 12 magistrates and about 4 judges. And I've been told, Ms. Clarke, but you weren't assaulted, we have no physical evidence. And indeed, domestic violence do not start physically.
I'm glad you brought up that point. Terry?
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on that if I would, because it's really a critical point. So because I heard you identify a number of things. As you know, or you would know, the Domestic Violence Act was updated in 2021. And there were a number, particularly around the protection orders. There was a lot of work done there to improve the protection order and the process of the protection orders. But we still know of incidences when the protection orders are not implemented in the way that they ought to be. So that is what I'm hearing from you. So I've heard you talk about better communication, better public awareness, better education, but not just for the general public, but for all duty bearers, including the judiciary and the police also, and persons in the police service. And that's because people want to be safe. If I am going to court, for instance, I want to feel that I am safe in that process.
Protected.
One of the improvements during the Domestic Violence Act, the improvement that was made there and post-COVID, actually I think it happened during COVID, is they started having domestic courts and also virtual courts where people can go to court virtually as opposed to being there in person. That prevents the possibility of the victim and the abuser running into each other, having to sit next to each other, et cetera, et cetera. So those are little improvements that I'm aware of that were made legislatively. Now, how well they are being executed or implemented at the court level is a whole different discussion. But I'm hearing you. I'm hearing what you've said, and I think the country would agree that women and men, anybody who's in this space must feel safe to execute their right as a human being, to bring a complaint and not feel intimidated by anyone, including the duty bearers. And we would want to believe that the persons who are meting out sentences or coming up with decisions as ways to go forward, like judiciary, like the judges, like the magistrates, they would be knowledgeable enough, not only on the law, which we're sure that they are, but also the nuances of the situation, that so that they're appropriately applying the law to the situation. So thank you for sharing that, because I think the general public, hopefully the listening public, will have gotten a better understanding of the plight, and also for you being so open to share your own particular experiences, because oftentimes people are shy about sharing their own particular experiences, but you were able to tell us, based on what you've experienced, the change that you need to see going forward. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We're here talking to women of Trinidad and Tobago. The candidates are here sharing their plans, and we want to give you a break so you can nip to the bathroom quickly, have a quick drink, refresh your cup of morning tea as you come back with us here on Women Voters Matter. We were here with Aretha Clarke from the Patriotic Front, and we want to thank Aretha for being here with us. I am Jewel Green, and we have with us Miss Terry Ince, the head of SUDOR Committee of Trinidad and Tobago. And we'll be back soon, and when we come back, we'll be chatting with Mr. Leroy George. See you in a few minutes.